Welcome back to True Crime Lounge podcast. Today we're going to be finishing up with our Shanda Share mini series. Thank y'all for tuning in. I do have a Patreon that you can join for early access to episodes scheduled to come out. I also have a merch shop for all your true crime gear. Um, for any updates on my channel or podcast, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or now X, whatever it's called. I don't really care if that gets me canceled. I don't really care at that point either. But anyway, um, with that being said, let's dive into today's episode. Let's finish up with our mini series. So let's talk about. We're going to talk about the sentencing, the aftermath, the early release, and the conclusion of this case. But Lori Tackett's sentencing hearing began on December 28, 1992, which was almost identical to Melinda's. And Townsend more or less recounted the same events, and the witnesses varied a little. In addition, Lovelace and Lawrence both testified as part of their plea agreement. On the morning of January 4th, 1993, Melinda stood before Judge Todd, awaiting her sentence, and he began by citing all factors involving the case, including a gruesome nature of the crime of the victim's age. And after a brief pause, Judge Todd sentenced Lovelace to 60 years in prison and the maximum security sentence allowed for her plea agreement. And he will even tell her that you still have time to turn your life around. Um, and hope she takes advantage of that because Shanda does not have the opportunity to live her life anymore. Melinda was sobbed uncontrollably, and as she was led away and Lori was brought in and the judge cited her for the factors involved in the case, passed down the identical sentence as Lori. Identical sentence. Lori did not flinch during these proceedings. Just 2 days after the sentencing um, of Melinda and Lori, Shanda's parents filed a $1 million lawsuit on all four girls. The suit filed after the Louisville television station reported that Tackett was negotiating to sell a book to the movie production company, that Lovelace was also considering various offers, and that she had received Shanda's parents never expected to collect any of the money, and they wanted to discourage the girls from profiting at their daughter's expense. The same day, Jackie also gave a brief interview to the Counter Journal. And thing is, I wonder if the Son of Sam laws were active at this time. I know every state does it differently with the Son of Sam laws, but I am curious. So the Clark County Circuit Judge agreed with Jackie and quickly issued a temporary injunction blocking the girls from making any deals to sell their story. Despite the injunction, Indiana law mandates that any money a felon receives publication of broadcast rights be deposited into the violent crime victims' funds. Hence, it was and remains unlikely that the girls will receive any profit from their crimes. Now, here's some excuses that happened. When Tony's sentencing would begin, the hearing lasted for more than 2 days, during which time the investigators praised Lawrence for her cooperation. Several teachers and family members agreed. Ugh. And I'm getting hungry, guys. I'm sorry. And the friends testified on behalf, and she also was granted permission to the court to read her statement to the sheriff's family. She would apologize and everything. She would go on to say, "I do feel much remorse for your daughter. I have been locked up for 10 months, and that time has been a living hell. I've had nightmares in which I will wake up screaming and can't stop. I was terrified of Melinda and Lori. Like, thing is, Melinda was the mastermind behind this a lot. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. She was jealous, of really, like, there's a lot of details that we just don't know. The night in the morning with the So Lori would basically reply saying, calling all these excuses and while they lied, pathetic and everything. So, Hope would ultimately accept the plea as well, and her sentencing would begin June 1st, 1993. As a request of the defense, the hearing was moved to South Bend, and it was held in St. Joseph Superior Courthouse with Judge Janine um, Jordan presiding. At the outset of the case, Hope made a statement maintaining her claim that her only action against Shanda had been pouring the gasoline on the body. Following her statement, the defense called psychologist Michael Sheehan to stand, and he stated that Hope was immature and acted solely under the domination of Melinda and Lori. However, the testimony by Tony, Melinda, and Tackett also depicted a different story. So, and the last to testify was Jackie, and once again, she showed the video to the court. She became angry, um, angry. So after a short recess, the judge would sentence Hope to a maximum sentence of 60 years, but suspended 10 for mitigating circumstances, ordering her fle- ordering her to be placed on probation for 10 years at the time of her release. George Jordan made her own statement to the court. Now let's talk about the aftermath now. In the spring of 1994, Lawrence received her GED. 4 years old, November 10th, 1998. She was denied early release from prison. And during 2000, she received an associate's, which reduced her prison sentence by nearly 1 year. In March of 2000, the crime library reporter sent the letter in which was convicted of the murders. Only two responded. Lori Tackett was the first. The statement was simply a question of her statements regarding her relationship with Lori participating in murder. It seems odd that someone wants to send best wishes to a person, right? So regardless of the level of guilt, on December 14, 2000, Tony was now 24, walked out of prison on parole after serving nearly 9 years of her 20-year sentence. Lawrence spoke briefly with the Louisville television wave before heading back to Madison with her parents. On November 3rd, 2004, the Indiana Superior Court judge reduced Hope's prison sentence from 50 to 35. According to reports, the Courier, in making her decision, the Manier took account of Hope's Rapi's bachelor degree from Ball State University General Studies program for inmates, and from which she spent her time training CNI dogs and speaking to various groups. With the judge's decision affirmed, Hope's earliest possibility will be from 2006 to 2017 to 2026. Um, Jackie was angered by this decision. So, with the news of Hope's impending release from the difficulty of the family, on May 8th, 2005, Chandra's father, Stephen, died. The cause of death was publicly released, and it had been reported that he was in the same cemetery as his daughter. Now, with this being said, there's a spotlight on Lori. During the spring of 2006, the news spotlight momentarily switched from Hope to Lori, and during the previous year at the Indiana Department of Corrections, launched a program called Plus in three of its state's prisons. Um, and this program would stand for Purposeful Living Unit Service, a faith-based rooted for prisoners intending to change lives through spiritual and renewal. In March 2006, the news station broadcast report from the prison as well. Regardless of whose hand that Tackett felt soothing her, 6 months later, when the Plus program came to the prison, she was one of the first to sign up. She now supposedly spends her free time studying the Bible, coming to grips with the consequences of her crimes. One of the most question is, why is it that Tackett suddenly embraced religion? It is certainly interesting about her conversion to God. In her sentence reduction, the Department of Corrections Commissioner and the others were quick to defend the Plus program, and that's fine, and it works for inmates. However, Lori's suddenly became conversion may as well have been due to her own hopes for early release and finding God. As Tackett tried to map out her own road to freedom, Hope was busy packing her bags on April 28, 2006. A 29-year-old who walked out of Indiana prison on parole, and after serving 14 years of her original 50-year sentence. According to Shanda, Hope's early release made it possible for the St. Joseph County prosecutors failed to do their job. Regardless of who's right and wrong, once again, the brittle killer was free to roam. Now this leads to Melinda seeking early release. And on October 2007, Melinda attorney Mark Small announced that she as well will be seeking early release. And Small would argue that her sentencing rights were violated and that she had received insufficient legal representation. It was his belief that his client had served her time and that judgment should be vacated. Her mom was upset at the prospect of Loveless being freed. According to the Jefferson County prosecutor Chad Lewis, she had adequate legal representation during her sentencing hearing and was strongly objected to the modification of her sentence. The circuit was expected to hear the case October 15, 2007. However, the hearing was postponed on the grounds the attorney was denied access to his client before the hearing would begin. Chandra's mom believes that Melinda holds the most responsibility for her daughter's murder. In October 2007, she will say this in an interview. Now, Melinda's hearing was being held on December 6, 2007. During the proceeding, Loveless told the Jefferson Circuit Judge that she could not remember the legal proceedings as they took place. And after this writing, Melinda and Lori are currently serving out their original sentences as well. Alright, that's it for today's episode. I will see y'all next time. And we will be talking about, let's see, the Gallaudet murders. I've been wanting to talk about this one for a while. So I will see y'all next time.